There's nothing better than a retro bargain. So recently I went to Cambridge to their Bring and Bite sale and picked up a few really nice retro bargains, including this Atari 800 and the Mac Classic 2 underneath it, amongst other things. And in our retro hardware Discord, somebody posted a link to a new thing at Bletchley in the National Museum of Computing, where they were selling off all of their old stock, the things that they didn't really need or want, or that they did want to repair. It's basically them making some money for the museum out of the things that are just rotting away in storage. So it's a fantastic idea, and it's a really good way to support the museum. And I didn't think I'd be able to go, but the planets aligned and I ended up having the day free. So I organised a car share with Henry for the last hour of the journey to Bletchley, and found out that Henry used to actually volunteer there, so I had a guide for the day. But going back to the Retro Hardware Discord, there were quite a few of us actually going there on the day, and I set a challenge for those that wanted to take part of the most interesting item for under £50. Well, we'll get to those a little bit later. But you will be able to judge who the winner is in the comments, which is the best place to do judging things. So as we pulled into the car park, we spotted a wild Dave Williams dashing around in the rain, trying to stay dry, and it was a filthy rainy day, really poured with rain. We got soaked multiple times. And whilst we sat in the car, we discussed what we would actually be targeting in the sale. We knew that we wanted to pick up a PET for Tech Made Easy Matt, who had set a budget of £250, because PETs, they go for like £500 on eBay in good condition. So Matt set us a budget, get me a PET for £250 and he'd be happy. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Another Dave off of the Discord, Dave W, in the Retro Hardware Discord, who actually volunteers at the museum, had shared a few photographs of all of the machines that they were organising to go on sale. And that really did whet quite a few appetites. And I did spot a Binatone tape deck like this one hiding in the corner of one of the pictures. And this one is a Paul Universal Retro Boss one. These are really good. They're really nice little tape decks, and they're really quite cute as well. I quite like those. So I thought, oh, I'd quite like to get one of those. I'll keep my eye out for one of them. As for the pets, there are loads of pets in these photographs, and all of different types and eras. And I had no intention of buying one. I've recently turned down a free one from Pete at Short Circuit, which was in very, very poor condition. But still, it was something I knew I didn't have room for, and I didn't think I would be able to afford one that was in repairable condition. So I kind of discarded that, and I thought I would probably concentrate on the Commodore 64s and the VIC 20s and the 8-bit machines that I could afford. Probably might stretch to an Amiga or an Atari ST if the prices were right. But we had no idea of what the prices were being set at, not before the event. My concern before we got in there was that it might descend into a bit of a bun fight, with everybody focusing on grabbing, like, if there were only 4 or 5 pets, or, you know, and they were a really crazy, ridiculous, cheap price. There might be a few sharp elbows coming out, and things might get ugly. But it didn't turn out that way. We walked into the event, and it was being really well organised by all of the volunteers and staff there. They had these boards set out with all of the information for all of the machines, and each machine had a raffle ticket on it, so you could find out what number it was on the board, and it would tell you on the board what the initial diagnosis. I think some of them have been plugged in and switched on to see what was going on. And there was also, the most interesting thing was the price. Everything had a price. There was no bargaining or haggling. There was no bidding. Everything had a price. So I immediately looked at the PET prices and saw that all of them, I think all of them, were priced at £50 each, which is frankly ridiculous. That's an absolutely insanely good price for something that goes for £400 to £500 on eBay. in good condition, in good working condition. There's the footage kind of cuts off at this point where I turn around, look at where the PETs are stored, and most of them are underneath the desk because they're big, heavy, bulky machines with their disk drives under there as well. The big, massive, great dual disk drive enclosures for the PET. And yeah, I just made a beeline for one of them, dragged it out from under the desk, and then went and queued up for paying my £50. I thought, I can't leave a PET here without, you know, if at that price, I would not be able to walk away. The weak point of the day was probably paying for things, especially at that first initial rush where everybody had grabbed something and wanted to pay for it quickly, because you couldn't like pay for something and ask them to put it aside. You had to pay for it and then take it away and go and put it in your car. Speaking of which, Henry had brought a car not designed to house many computers. It was, by the end of the day, it was very, very full. And I think it probably helped us spend not too much money, because we could literally not fit anything in the car at the end of the day. I had a Dragon 32 on my lap and a Vic 20 under my feet all the way home. Yeah, the paying for things was a little bit sluggish. You had to wait for them to hand write out a receipt with all of the items on and all of the prices of the items, and then you had to sign that receipt and then take it over to another person who would then charge you the money on a card machine. That card machine didn't like me by the end of the day, and it didn't like somebody else. Pete Addison in our group also had problems. We both bank with the same bank, and it looks like the bank that we bank with didn't like the amount of transactions coming out of that machine suddenly during that day and blocked us all. So I managed to buy 3 lots of things, and the third lot was from the kindness of Henry, who actually subbed me the money because all of my cards wouldn't work. So looking at the value of all of these machines, the Amigas and the Atari STs were pretty good value. The Amigas are mostly priced at around £50, and the Atari STs were about £40 each. I wasn't really tempted by the Amigas and the Ataris. I've got plenty of those. I've got I've got an Atari ST FM and an Atari STE. I don't need another one, but Project is a nice thing to have. So if it had been a broken one, I probably would have gone for it at that point. And some of the odds and sods and bits and pieces in the boxes were quite interesting. There was a few of us picked up different things out of there. And I think a few of those will sneak into the most interesting category at the end of the video, or whenever I put it in the video. And the C64s, they ended up not being very interesting to me, because most of them were priced at about £40, and I think that that's actually an average price for eBay. I don't think that was priced to sell very well. I think quite a few of them did sell in the end, but there's a reason for that. And the problem with them was that all of them weren't working, and most of them were pillaged. So all of the valuable chips had gone, and you were left with something without a PLA, without sometimes a VIC, the CPU and the SID. So yeah, difficult. £40. If there'd been, let's say, half that, more interesting. And this VIC 20 board that I pulled out of this £1 box, I did want to buy this because I thought it might be interesting to take all of the parts off of it that were left, and all of the connectors and the heat sink for the voltage regulators, and put them on a recreation board. But I put it back thinking I will come back to it later, because we were getting hungry, and when I came back it had gone. We did get a wind that the prices of the machines would drop towards the end of the day, and it was before midday. It was getting nearly 12 o'clock, so we had plenty of time to kill through the rest of the day. And knowing that the prices would drop, we thought we'll go away, we'll have something to eat, wander around the museum, because our tickets gave us access to the National Museum of Computing Museum. And I'd never been before, so anyway, I was hungry.
You guys have come in just here. Straight ahead is the shopping cafe, with the toilets just behind there. Just on there to your left is the Bomb, Tony and Colossus galleries, your machines from the wall. And opposite that is your first generation and large systems. So from about the 1940s, about 1980s. It might be a bit busy in the bomb gallery at the moment, so if it is, you might just want to come back a bit later, but it shouldn't impact your business in any way. So, just on there to your right is your more modern 80s, 90s PCs and software, with games and other activities, you can try it too. And if you keep running around past the galleries, you'll then come to our exit, which will bring you just across the car park. Okay. And that's the best thing around.
Now this place here is giving me a really bad vibe.
Yeah, that is where the sale is taking place.
So we went and got lunch in the cafe, and the cafe was really nice. Really friendly place, nice sandwiches, simple stuff, but exactly what you want. And I was really hungry, so it tasted great. And then we went and wandered around the museum. It's a really good size museum, and it's got lots of interesting areas, and it's really well laid out with plenty of space to move around. And the volunteers and staff there are super, super friendly and always happy to chat with you, and they're so enthusiastic, and quite a few good chats with them. But I think my favourite machine, I know Colossus is there and other things are there, but my favourite, the thing that really made the biggest impression on me was the Witch. And I'll let the excellent volunteer, whose name I should have asked on the day, tell this one's story.
This was designed and built by the Atomic Energy Research in Harlow.
Yeah.
It was envisaged in about 47, completed in 1950 or thereabouts, and went into ran its first instructions around about 1951-52, and was running until 56. I've got the numbers right.
Yeah.
It was designed to compete with a mechanical calculator.
Right.
It was never designed to be fast. It was designed to be reliable.
Right.
They were calculating numbers for the design of nuclear power stations and stuff.
Yeah.
So they were competing against those and log tables and things.
Right.
So we needed reliability over speed. And it is really reliable. This is the oldest original electronic computer, according to Guinness, if I've got the words in the right order.
Wow.
It's original. This is the machine.
It's not a recreation. It's not a
This is the one.
replica. It's the actual thing.
And it has the bits that you'd see in an ordinary computer. So we've got the memory on the left-hand side. Those 9 boxes of 10 rows.
Yeah.
They are decatrons or so. Each row.
What are the valves in there?
They are cold cathode storage units for the decatron.
Oh yes.
Got one here. It can hold a number between 0 and 9. And a series of pulses move the glowing blob of neon.
That is
around the
so
place.
cool.
So the glowing blob is being pulled around electrically,
Yeah.
not mechanically. It's not a spinning.
But you can
wheel.
read its state after it's set.
Exactly. Yeah.
Before we get into the sale room, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, PCB Way, a company whose many different services could prove very useful in bringing any of the vintage machines I end up dragging home back to life. With PCB fabrication and assembly, or 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, CNC milling, I think there could be a use for many of these. And let's not forget the shared projects library, where you can choose literally hundreds of cool companion projects to go with your newly acquired machine. Thank you, PCB Way. Right, that's enough museum exhibits for now. I'll show the rest of the tour that I took around the museum at the end of this video. But right now it's time for a show and tell, so I want to show you what I did actually buy at the sale. And bear in mind, I went expecting to buy nothing. So I did find, this is the one I showed you earlier, I did find a binatone data recorder for the princely sum of £5. And I'm very happy with that. It all seems to be intact. I can see a belt in there. It doesn't look like it's been molested in any way. Cable looks okay. Connector looks okay. Happy with that one. That will become mine. While we're on the subject of tape decks, I bought this one as well. This one apparently was only £3. This is a Commodore one of the very early ones. Is apparently what you would have to go with a PET. The early PETs had a tape deck built into their actual unit, and the later ones had no tape deck built in, but you could add a data set to it. So, and apparently these are rock solid. It's got threaded inserts on the back here. See there? I wonder if that is meant to be attached to something. Pretty cool though. I also got this joystick. I couldn't resist this. I think this was £1, and the suction cups on the bottom are pretty wrecked. It just says patent pending on the bottom. It's got what I'm assuming is an auto fire switch there, and big fire button on the top. And yeah, shall we see if it works? That'd be pretty cool. Oh, yep. Is the auto fire on? Oh, fire button's a bit weak. It's starting to register, but not quite. So that might need some work. It's a Delta 2000 model RD1A, but I really like it. One computer that I really was keen on picking up, and I didn't think I would be able to actually, is a Dragon 32, and I did manage to get one for £30. I mean, £30 for a Dragon 32. I've got a Dragon 32 over there that I'm still yet to look at. I wanted another one because even if you have 2 broken machines, it's easier to fix one of them with 2 broken machines than it is to fix a broken machine by itself. But the one I've got is quite an early board, and it's got a load of stacked memory, so piggyback memory in a single line there rather than these 2 lines of memory. But this one apparently has the 3 key is stuck, and it was, when I got it, it was quite sticky, but I squirted a load of contact cleaner in there and it freed up. But it says fault is with the motherboard itself. Cap at C11 exploded, leg cut to avoid short. And C11 is a tantalum cap down here next to the power connector, and it has actually got its one leg is cut. So some diagnostics have been done, but again, this is a completely unknown condition. It looks like if they're the ROMs, one of them is in a socket and one isn't. But it looks in really decent condition inside. I can't see any reason that this won't just work. Apart from, I don't have a power supply for it. I've got a power supply, but not for this one, but I'll use that power supply. But I don't know about, the power supply comes in through here. You know, there's all bridge rectifiers and voltage regulators and caps and everything for the power supply, but and that sends the power into the motherboard here. But the video signal also goes out through that same connector and through the RF modulator. Oh, and there's a monitor cable there as well. So yeah, it's not as simple as just replacing this with a Pico ATX or something. You have to take into account that the video signal goes through this board as well as power. Julian Brown will definitely give me some advice with this one. I also picked up this, and I think this is really interesting. This is a VIC 20 with a smashed case, and some of the keys are stuck in. A clacky keyboard. But the interesting thing is the PET style keys. They are the desirable keys. If I show you another, this very ratty VIC 20, you can see this is more like the Commodore 64 style key, but oh, that sounds so different. So the main reason I wanted this was for the keyboard, and I'm not sure what to do with the VIC 20 inside it. I've got other Commodore 64 keyboards that I can use if I want to replace that keyboard, but I want this keyboard, or at least the keys, if they're compatible, to go with a build that I'm making. Now, it's not to hand, but I've got a C64C case with a new motherboard to go inside it, and I'm slowly putting all the pieces together to build that into something nice. And I want this keyboard, or the keys at least, to be part of that machine, if that's possible. I don't know if it is. So the £30 I paid for this was basically for the keyboard, but I also get probably a working VIC 20, but it says Commodore VIC 20, lift this silver radio interference shield to C circuit. I wonder if this was an exhibit at some point. Lots of socketed chips in here, that's really good. Oh, this is Classic. Look at this. Come down. Have a look at the fuse. Well, it's not a 13 amp fuse. I'm going to pop that out now. It's a 5 amp fuse. I'm going to put that back in there for future reference. Well, I'm not plugging this in because I don't think it will work. The case clips are all broken on it and the case is not really salvageable. The serial number is 5183. I don't know anything about serial numbers on VIC-20, so that could be good and it could be completely meaningless. All right, we're going to have to look at the literal elephant in the room here. Oh, I wasn't going to buy one of these. Oh. Here we go. It's a very dirty Commodore PET 4016. So I kind of went for this one because I didn't want one of the very early ones because I knew that they're difficult to work on. And I thought I'd have a better chance of getting a working machine with a later one than an earlier one. But as you can see inside, there is a bit of rust. Well, there's a lot of rust on a lot of chips. I think this one is going to be quite the labour to get it back to a working condition. The transformer is very rusty. I wouldn't trust that. So I'm probably going to have to replace the power supply in this. And I'm not very confident about using CRTs or repairing or working on CRTs. So that is a problem. It is the condition of the keyboard is pretty grim. Although it does look to be all intact, it just looks dirty. But I expect that none of those keys will work if there's this level of corrosion on there. And dirt and grime. Oh, I'm going to have a quick look inside the back of the CRT. I want to see if there's any, if it's full of corrosion in this side of it, then I'm not sure whether it's going to be worth actually doing anything with it or not. It doesn't look too bad, it just looks dirty. There's dust and dirt all over, but doesn't actually look horrendously terrible. I am encouraged. I would go so far as to say I would probably switch this on once I've got a reliable power supply down below. I can't see any signs of, oh, there's possibly a cap there that looks like it's got a bit toasty, but all the electrolytics look intact. I can't see any scorch marks anywhere. It's a pretty grubby machine. So whilst I'm really pleased with spending just £50 for a PET, at the moment my hope is for something that's not going to be too difficult to get working, because I've never worked on one of these and I don't want something with a dead CRT. If it's got a dead CRT, I don't know what to do. Probably have to replace it with something modern. Right, so at the end of the day, when we came back after our lunch and everything, we headed back into the sale room and the staff there said, right, everything needs to go. Buy one, get one free. And I'd already been like having a little poke around the Amigas and the Atari STs. And I had something in mind for one of them. I'll show you the other one first. This is the Atari ST, the ST-FM, and it's in it special edition olive green. And this is marked as £40, but I didn't pay that. I'm not sure which version this is, what memory it's got, which type of floppy disk it's got. It's got the horrible joystick connectors underneath. It's got Bletchley Park sticker on it. Don't know what that sticker is. Looks like a sticker that's got something on the other side of it. It is. Barrel detective on guard here. I wonder if I shine this torch, it might actually reveal something. Yes. Okay. It's been marked. Look at that. I just shone the UV light at my PET and it lit up like a Jackson Pollock. I'm putting that back. Okay, so it looks nice, the right colour underneath, but yeah, it's definitely. I'm not going to sunbright or retro bright this. I actually quite like the colour, weirdly enough. But this looked to me like an intact and reasonably serviceable Atari. I expect that this will work, but the floppy drive will be faulty in some way. Probably just needs servicing. So that's marked as £40. Bear in mind, the buy one get one free. I also had my eye on this, which is a very broken Amiga 500. The case is really smashed over here and in this corner. I also knocked something against it in transport, bringing it home, and knocked this corner off as well. But I've rescued that and I've got that taped to it. But it says starts, won't boot, floppy drive doesn't step. So it's just a. I mean, I could just put a Gotek in it and that's fine. Pretty nasty keyboard, but I really like this case. I want to do something with this case. So that's actually a future project. I'm not going to talk about that too much now, but I did look at some of the other Amiga 500s there, and all of the other ones that I could, at the end of the day, at this point, had green all across the connector here where the trapdoor RAM expansion had a NiCad battery that had leaked, and that can get onto the motherboard and cause havoc. This one didn't have any green, so I was fairly confident I had a good internal machine at least. It would be nice to know what revision motherboard it is though, wouldn't it? Shall we have a quick look? And that top case might just disintegrate when I do this. No, I'm going to have to take all of the tabs off. Find out. Mitsumi keyboard. I can't remember which is the bad one to have. I don't think it's that one. I've got some Torx bits to take out as well. It's 6A. Oh, jackpot. Jackpot. Oh, there's another screw there. So it's got an 8372A Agnes in it. And that is worth what I paid for the whole thing. So what I paid, this one was marked as, at £50, and the Atari STFM was marked at £45. Sorry, at £40. So that was £90 all told, and they let me have them both for £45. Probably the sweet spot in Amiga 500s for me. The Plus is probably a better machine, but to buy one, you're looking at possibly some tricky times if you've got one with some battery damage. There is a leaking cap on this board. There's a few signs of corrosion, so maybe this one did have a battery leak. And then someone's just come and cleaned up. Yeah, there's some corrosion around these edge connector legs. It might be that this cap has leaked and leaked onto these bits, but it might be that it was an expansion leaking. Everything else looks great. Shin-on drive. I've probably got spares of these drives actually. I can upgrade the memory to 1 meg. Internally, or just stick a trapdoor expansion in it and stick a Lazarus Storm in the side, and I've got a really cracking motherboard here. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I do have the cover for the trapdoor as well. Right, so that was the end of my day. Henry and I left in his extremely overloaded car and headed back to Henry's house and unloaded all of his stuff there, where we went through his collection of things.
It's an Amstrad PPC 1512.
Did you buy that as well?
Yes.
Right, so what's that one?
Another one.
Another. And there's another. What's that one?
Keyboards, and
20...
that's a C64.
Oh, under here.
That's a 2086.
15. Oh, a C64. Did you buy any drives?
No.
No. Keyboards. 2 Atari STs. Both SDFM?
I guess so. I haven't looked at the other one.
Yep. 2 Atari STs. That screen, what's that one?
That goes in one of the Amstrads. That's a EGA screen, I think.
Right, this screen?
That's a VGA screen. There's a monochrome screen somewhere as well. There.
Oh yeah, that one over there. That screen there. And another Amstrad.
5386. £5 that one was.
What? It's a 386 for £5.
It's a 386. Yeah, I'm assuming it's farted to death. I haven't looked inside.
C64
I
for...
think there's 364s in total.
So there's a Vic 20
They were
there.
on the more expensive side, the C64s.
This is a very sorry looking Vic 20. I've got loads of spare keys, by the way.
Oh, well, I'll tap you up for that then.
£30 for that Vic 20. That's a terrible price. But there is more to tell on that story. Another C64 with a missing F key down the bottom there.
Yeah, I think I've got two.
That one's only marked as 20. Why is that one 20?
I think that's the one that's only got a Vic chip and that's it.
Right.
Oh, short on 5 volts, it says.
Oh, I'd have had that.
So that's going to be a RAM chip or something, probably.
Yeah. And you got a
Two
one there.
+4s.
Oh, and there's one.
So Mike DX, you're off the hook, mate.
There's one there. And there's this thing in this bag.
And then behind there.
Oh, yeah, that's mine, though. There was one of those on display in the museum. Oh, it's got the manuals with it.
I didn't even notice that. Oh, and the discs. Look at that.
Look at that. Nice. You could convert this into like a hiking rucksack.
Or I could.
Or throw it away. Which bit are you most proud of? Which one do you, if you had to get rid of all of them, which one would you keep?
I think we're keeping Matt's pet.
Matt's pet. Okay, so this is Henry. Matt's your entry into the £50.
It's Matt's pet. We
Matt's
bought a
pet.
whole Commodore PET with power supply, keyboard, screen. The keyboard was slightly damaged, but £50. So I come to you from the boot of my car and a Commodore PET, which is my entry in the £50 challenge. Picked up on behalf of Tech Made Easy Matt. I think that's pretty interesting. What do you think?
And as Henry has got the ball rolling, let's get on with the rest of the entries. Pete at Short Circuit says, here is my submission. I did get a couple of PETs, SK and 2001 original, and a funky EEPROM programmer, each for less than the £50, but the mystery keyboard has to be my submission. I mean, just look at it. Also, I still argue that the £50 limit is way too high. This was £5. I think Pete is trying to change the rules of the competition after the fact. Pete, I might disqualify you for this. Sparky2009 says, I'd like to submit this Dragon 32. It was one of the 2 I picked up yesterday. The other worked at first but has an unusual RAM failure. This one was a 10-minute find fix of a blown short tantalum on the main board, not the power board as the sticker suggests. So for me, it's a nice bargain at £30. See if you can see the blowhole in the cap. Triple D or Devilish Design says, I'd like to submit this Vic 20 as my entry into the £50 challenge. It's quite interesting as it has the earliest revision of the keyboard with the PET style keys. Whilst it's not the rarest version, that would be the Euro style, it is the most desirable and was a bit of a bargain at £30. Dave and I stood next to each other and picked up these 2 Vic 20 PET style keyboards, or computers. You know, he did offer me the one that he took, but I said, no, I wanted the one that was actually rougher looking because it's better content. And he's just a nice guy and he makes me want to do nice things. I know, he's a terrible person. Pete Addison says, my submission, a handmade joystick tester. Interesting to me as it is a one of a kind. I've never worked on old breadboard before, but I gave it a nice new 9-volt battery and a new DB9 connector, melted some foil and installed some bodge wires, and it lives. This is why we do what we do. Yes, I could use a software tester or my multimeter, but this is real. £1 bargain if you ask me. Pillock says, Chrissy was the most interesting thing there. I don't know the exact price, but he's cheap. And Chrissy says, the most interesting thing I found was the Spectrum test tape. And that's actually my entry into this competition. I was queuing up to buy some bits and pieces and waiting to pay when Chrissy actually tapped me on the shoulder and said, what about this? And I couldn't resist it. It was £1, which is probably overpaying a bit, but it's actually a really nice little thing. And I will genuinely, if it works, get some good use out of it. It says, if at any time you are experiencing problems loading software into your Spectrum Plus 2, please try loading this test tape. If the test tape loads successfully, it's likely there is a problem with your software. Okay, so that's my entry. All of you are the judges of this competition. If you leave your opinion of what you thought was the most interesting thing that was bought today for under £50 in the comments, we'll count them all up and announce a winner. There's a lot at stake, a lot of pride and no money. I had a fabulous day. It was not just for the bargains that we got and the items that I'm going to be able to repair and make videos about in the future, but you know, hanging out with other people that like doing what we do was just so much fun. I really did have a good time. I was exhausted for a couple of days after. I seemed to burn a lot more energy than I expected, but I wouldn't have missed it for the world, and I can't wait for the next one. And it now occurs to me that as I promote this video, I might be inviting more people as competition to the next event. Didn't think that through. Oh well, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Can I get you? Oh, you've got someone there. Can you do this one? Thanks. Can I know you up here for me?
That's what I need.
I got one of these.
Not that. You've got that, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got it. Let's go through it. Yeah, got one of them. Made a load of them.
I've even got the
Over the years, I've had pretty much all of these.
Yeah. I've even got the BlueSky system.
I've got a NASCAR one, and I've not even
Really?
tested yet. Yeah, I had it in the box for about 3 years.
I found another Lynx. I've got two. It's
That's
not.
it.
It's not 472 though, is it?
No,
That's
the common one.
That is my favourite computer.
PDP-A.
It's one of. Out of fair.
Since I just looked at that and went, oh yeah, I've got these, haven't I? Bloody
Bloody da.
Sorry, say again?
I gave the lease away years ago. And it gets better. I had
Say it again.
I gave an Apple Lisa away. I also had a Macintosh 128, mint condition, in the canvas bag, external disk drive, the numeric keypad, and I swapped it for a 16 meg SIM for a PC because I wanted to play Quake. Yeah. Oh, it's the 90s.
Do you still have a 8800, don't you?
Yeah, I've got
I can't
Here's
remember.
one I am going to probably list it.
I can't remember the part of it on the pencil. It's sort of keeping tabs on you. It's the-
That's one thing that.
Maybe it was just referring to it because of
Got one of them.
Are you going for that there?
I was.
Yeah, no, it's fine, yeah. You
Were
go
you?
for it. No. Well, I was telling you the idea, but.
System 1 there as well. Acorn System 1.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Kim one. It's just such a lovely board.
System 1.
Yeah, but Kim one.
Oh, that fan is exactly what the doctor orders.
Let the people behind suffer.
Yeah.
Downwind of me.
Yeah, you don't want to be downwind of you.
You insulting me for that?
It's just tit for tat, mate.
Always nice to see you.
Lee, pinball.
Simpsons pinball.
But say I bought this silicon graphics machine, went down to Southampton, and the guy had it set up in his garage, and it was he had one of these in his garage.
These are the first purpose-built silicon, weren't they? I wouldn't think it's silicon purpose-built.
Oh, I nailed it.
Jim Austin.
Oh, didn't nail it.
Lots of room in it, but you know, you might get something in there.
I've got one of these now.
But yeah, we'll.
That's the American thing.
Yeah.
I was clearing out someone's lot.
American
This guy
calculator.
died last year, and there's this scruffy box right under the eaves, and there's an ASCOM on it.
Matt
Just
sold
like
it to
that.
me
I
actually.
mean, you don't find these things normally. I don't. No, you certainly don't. Do you want one? Like the roughest one you want. Oh, you want the roughest one you've got? Yeah. Okay.
One per desk.
One of these just slipped out of my hands on eBay recently. Oh, it's way more than
What?
I do love those.
yeah. See there?
It's just the design.
Yeah.
Couple words are just restored.
379. I think my bid was like 150.
Just sold me some.
Hello. Definitely a YouTuber. That selfie light.
Yeah, the boot times on.
Oh, look at that. It's like a weird screen refresh going on here.
Yeah, I don't really
Look at
know.
that. Yeah. Selfie like it's 1994.
Oh, it says you're banned. Next.
It's amazing, isn't it? Kicks out a bit of heat, doesn't it?